Hello, we are live. Just waiting for a few more people to join us and we'll be getting going. We still got a whole 43 seconds to go. Today here in the UK, it's been one of the hottest days of the year. And I pretty much took the day off to enjoy it. So I've been sitting in the garden playing with my grandson. It's been wonderful. All right, excellent. It is now that time. Start. All the people turned their backs to land and looked at the sea all day, and as long as it took to pass, the ship kept raising its hull, reflected in the sand a standing goal. But whatever the truth may be, the water comes to the land. When has that been a bar to any watch thy keep? Robert Frost. And it's true, we as human beings are attracted to the chaotic sound of the sea. Not the random sound, the chaotic sound. Chaos means a pattern too big to hold in your mind. Over the next 4 seminars, i.e. webinars, we're going to stretch our minds to hold in some of the chaotic patterns of human communication. Two roads diverged and I took the one less trodden by, and that has made all the difference. And as popular as NLP is, you'll still find it is an incredible tool that will give you an advantage in every area of your life. Hello, my name is Cassidy-Rice. I'm an NLP master trainer and the founder of NLPcourses.com, which we believe runs some of the most comprehensive, in-depth NLP training you'll find anywhere in the world. And tonight's topic is influencing with ethics. This is an important skill. You'll find your life starting to be turned around. I know for myself, that's what happened for me. My life turned around once I discovered some of the art of influencing. I am outraged that it has been hijacked by shysters and con men, and it's got a bad reputation. But if you're willing to influence with ethics, it is one of the best skills you can develop to really help the people around you. All right, so some housekeeping. I'm going to invite you to ask questions and to interact. And what you'll find just below here is a place to do that. And the system we're using needs you to put your name in, so I know who's asking the question, and your email address. It runs through an email system. And then there's a box underneath where you can type your name. So you go ahead and type your name into that box. Type your questions, comments into that box. So go ahead and do that now. Type in something, just say hello. Let's check everything's working. And as we go through this, what's going to happen is we know there is a delay with the question and answer process. Happens on any webinar you ever run. But just post them. You've got a question, got a comment, post at any time, but do say hi so I know that you're there. And I'll answer those. Every now and again through the seminar or webinar, I will stop and I'll go ahead and I'll read the questions and comments and answer those. And then we'll have a much fuller question and answer session at the end if we've left you with any questions or if we stunned you with the amazing amount of information and you're reeling. In which case you can ask questions a little bit later when you've absorbed all the wonderful information. Okay, so let's have a quick look. All right, a few people starting to sign up now. That is wonderful. Great stuff. So, influence, a key skill that would advance every area of your life. Coming live to you from my office. As you'll see, that's where we do all the recording and filming. And what you'll notice is there's a fancy camera there, and I'm not using it. What I discovered today, Macs do not like to speak to camcorders. Hooray for Macs. There you go. Hi, Stephen. Welcome to see you online. Thank you ever so much. And then Steve also commenting on the studio behind us. Excellent. Keep those comments coming in and we'll get there. So an overview of tonight. So we're going to have a little bit of a linguistic dive into the meaning of influence. We're then going to explore a couple of concepts that create influence, and so that we understand that influence is a very natural thing. You're doing it whether you think you're doing it or not. So if we can understand the underlying principles, the techniques start to make a lot more sense. So in this webinar, we're going to be exploring the principles so that you understand that at all levels, you are influencing all the time. And to be able to do this with ethics, it makes sense to do it via purpose than via accident. All right, so when I was thinking about doing this, it's a question I get asked for a lot. I go into large organizations. They want to understand this whole process of influence, getting along with people. How do you get them to take action, get involved into their goals, the company's goals? How can you help somebody heal? Well, it's partly to do with influence. So when I was thinking about that, I thought I ought to understand what the word influence means, because it has a bad reputation. So I've been looking for a kind of a linguistic tool to help me explore deeper into some of the language and what it means. Partly because I have this theory that says, if you want to help somebody in any area of their life, increase the vocabulary. Language is powerful. It shapes the way that we think. And when you have an increased vocabulary, you're able to phrase and engage people in multiple different levels. So there's all the linguistic tools out there, Noam Chomsky's and Kaczynski's methods, and which are wonderful and very much in depth. We're going to take an easier approach. The way that I like to do it is to grab a dictionary. I've got this theory that the dictionary contains a wealth of information on any subject that you'd ever like to master. But it's been scattered and hidden throughout the book. So just to give you an overview of the method I went through, and then as long as the technology works, I'll show you my results. And also you'll find in the free downloads a mind map, which is the mind map I'm about to show you. And my methodology is this. So you take a word like influence and you look up the meaning of it. Then every word in that meaning that you have and are not sure what it means, or you think you know what it means. If you think you know what it means, you don't really know what it means, so you need to look it up. So you then look up each of those words, and you look at the meanings of each of those words, and then if there's any words in those that you're not sure of, you look up the meaning of those. As you can see, this would spiral out. And as normally, within about 20 minutes, you'll come back to the original meaning. So this is what we did. So let's go through the meaning, because the meaning of influencing, which I thought was going to be a very negative research, turned out to be a very positive, empowering process. So checking the technology, let's see if we can get the technology to work. And I'll screen share. And okay, so you should now see the word influence in a big blue box. So hopefully that's all working for you. And so what you'll see there is the word influence. I used the Cambridge Dictionary. It was an online version, so kudos to those guys. So the meaning I found was this: to affect or change how someone or something develops, behaves, or thinks. Right, okay then. So the key words there seem to be the word affect, the word change, develops, behaves, or thinks. So in the context of the word influence, what I started then to do, and excuse me, I started to look up each one of those. So we see the word affect there. So what does the word affect mean? It means to have an influence on someone or something, or to cause a change in someone or something. Well, okay, that's already a loop. We don't need to go any further with that, because that's what we've just said. Okay, excellent. So let's have a look at the word change. To change, to exchange one thing for another, especially of a similar type. Okay, so I thought exchange. What's this? It's to give something to someone and receive something from that person. Okay, so as we start to dig deeper into this process of influence, it seems to be a two-way exchange. So in my mind, that would mean you'd add value to any interaction. And when you add value, you would then be in a position of influence. Okay, so let's take the word especially. So that turned out to be very much, more than usual, or more than other people or things. So from my takeaway from that was from the exchange, it's a two-way process, and you would normally do something more than you're asking for. Okay. And for some reason there, similar, I wrote down, but I didn't look up. Okay, so let's go to words develops. Now, this is where I thought was very interesting, which meant to cause something to grow or change into a more advanced, larger, or stronger form. Well, that all sounds very positive. So let's take the word grow. To increase in size, amount, or to become more advanced or develop. So at its heart, influence has to do with advancing somebody and developing them in some way. So I thought I'd look up the word advance because that was in the original statement of the word develops. Tiger, I'm not sure I wrote tiger there. I think I know Steve's online, my esteemed proofreader, who's probably shouting at me now for not sending this over to him. Sorry, Steve. So something more difficult, a more advanced level. Okay, larger, bigger amount size, and then stronger. So it's to do with powerful, skilled, or good at doing something. Wow, this word advanced influence seems to be very positive. Behaves, act in a particular way. Well, that kind of made sense to me. Think. To believe something or have an opinion or idea. So idea is a noun, suggestion or plan for doing something. Okay, my takeaway from this part was suggestion, plan for doing something. That means if you are going to influence somebody, it's not about this or that technique that may or may not work. And lots of people want you to teach you this technique will influence somebody and have them under your will. No. It's a plan. There's a process behind it. And to believe, to think that something is true, correct, or real. So you're not going to get somebody to do something against their values. You're not going to get something to do against their morals. They need to believe in it, and it needs to be true for them in their map of the world and correct and something tangible, whether that's transformation, an opinion, which is a kind of a balance between this belief, a thought or belief about something or someone. Now, words that are related to this seem to be lead, act, inspiration. And the negative part was to force. And what you'll probably discovered that you can't force anybody to do anything against their will anyway. All right, so that mind map is there for you to download, and please do. All right, I'm just switching over screens now. You should see any moment now that the technology shows my shiny forehead. There we go. Technology's working. Isn't it wonderful? And hopefully you can see me now. Okay, so this influence thing seems to have a plan to inspire people into something greater and bigger. I do think that is worth doing. Whether it's somebody who's struggling in life, and that could be many things. It could be financially. It could be being drug dependent. It could be just feel like they're failing at life. Then they need you to have the skills to influence them to take that next step. It could be as simple as getting your child to eat the broccoli. And we really don't have enough broccoli in the world. And I know some of you out there saying, well, if this stuff can get my child to eat broccoli, then it's amazing. It's amazing. Excellent. Okay, so what is one of the key principles that this is all based upon? We're going to actually explore two. So the first key one is from what we call in NLP, the prime directors of your unconscious mind. I first come across this from Dr. Wyatt Woodsmore. So hats off to Wyatt Woodsmore, which is the unconscious mind does not process negatives. Now, it's not negative thoughts, because we can all have negative thoughts. We know this. It's about how we represent information to ourselves and to other people. Okay, let's do a quick thought experiment. I know some of you would have done this before, but a quick thought experiment. Whatever you do, do not think about a blue effing up a pink tree. That's a blue effing up a pink tree. Do not think about it. So what are you doing? Thinking about it? I told you not to. Well, and that's because, and even if you think you didn't, you did. You just replaced that image really fast. How can I say that with such confidence? Because words are secondary to how we think. We think using our imagination. So when I said do not think about, the brain goes, I don't know what I do not need to think about, and parks those words to one side. And then creates an image of a blue effing up a pink tree. That's why when you've been on a diet and you said to yourself, I will not eat chocolate cake. I will not eat chocolate cake. And the brain went, well, I don't know what I will not do. So parks those words to one side and creates an image of you eating chocolate cake. And eventually you go, oh, I can do that. Now, because I have children, when I'm walking home from school, I'll often hear parents call to their children, don't run, you'll fall over and hurt yourself. And what happens in that moment? That's right, the child falls over and hurt themselves. And yet that child would have been fine if it hadn't been for the adult placing the image in the child's mind. So the principle to fully understand behind what we've just said is this. Your unconscious mind will follow the strongest image you present it. Ask for what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen. So when we communicate, when we have this intention to influence people for the power of good, every communication places an image in their mind and in your own mind. So if you ever want to influence yourself, watch how you use language, because language triggers images in your own mind. When you use language of other people, you're triggering images in their mind. Is it what you want to happen? Understand that. Understand that one thing. You understand the underlying principle of all influencing techniques. A powerful takeaway. Right, as I'm talking, I'm seeing light reflected off my glasses, so I'm just going to take them off. That might make it a little bit better for you. I just got the lights in my eyes now. Right. If there's any questions, I'll need to put my glasses on to read them. I'm nearly 50 now. But please do type them in. Keep them coming in. It's wonderful, all the comments coming in. It's great. Thank you. And we'll catch up on those as soon as I get a chance to. Now, let's explore the next principle. Now, one of the things that happens with the brain, on the smallest bit of information, it fills in data. We just said words trigger images in the mind. Let's take that on to the next step and make it a little bit more complex, because there is a theory that says we as human beings are storytellers. And it's true, we are. If we explore something called cognitive linguistics, they propose the idea that everything is a story. And that's how we make sense of the world around us. So we're going to test that. And you might say, what's this all got to do with influencing? Well, when you understand the brain thinks in stories, and that even 3 words can trigger a story, a whole process in the brain, then you start to really grasp the power of storytelling. And I can guarantee you, anyone throughout history that's been charismatic, influenced, made a difference in the world, really understands this principle. Oh, I just had a couple coming through there. And how do we download the influence map, please? So what should be in front of you now? You should see me. Below me is the question box. To the left, if you just scroll down, there should be a download link for the map. If there isn't, if you can't find it for whatever reason, just let me know and I'll email it to you. Hope that helps. Okay, so let's explore this storytelling from an influencing point of view. And it's a bold statement to say that the brain thinks in stories. And when you master storytelling, you master influence. Wow, what a powerful concept. If you just understood that, you would rule the world. And a lot of great storytellers do rule the world. Okay, let's test this theory. I'm going to say 3 words and notice what happens inside your own head. Rabbit, car, road. Oh, what's just happened to Mr. Bunny? Has he been flattened? Oh no! In fact, that's not what happened. Because I can tell you, Mr. Bunny jumped up, put one paw up here, put another paw up here to block out the lights, and ducked up the last minute, saying to himself, I hope it's not a Robert Reliant. And then hopped away and boasted to all his bunny friends that he saved the world and fought the mighty beast. As ridiculous as that story is, you hear that story enough, then you start to change people's beliefs. You start to shift the way that people see the world around them. So the 2 principles to fully understand and appreciate the power of influencing is the brain does not process negatives. Ask for what you want to happen, trigger the right images, and that the brain fills in missing information from the smallest bit of information you'll give it. I gave you 3 words and it triggered a response in you. And yet, even though that story's already there, I start telling you a different story based on that theme. Next time you hear those 3 words, rabbit, car, road, your brain runs both stories. Yep, Mr. Flat Bunny is probably the stronger story, but the hopping away story, starting to get a bit of momentum. And hear that story enough, you change the way you think about Mr. Bunny. Profound stuff. Okay, so we have covered a lot in a short period of time. Very powerful. So apart from the download link does not seem to be there, and I do apologize about that. I'm not sure why that is. I'll make sure that you get a copy. Are there any questions or comments? Please go ahead and type those in now. And there is always a slight delay anytime we do anything online. So I'm kind of just talking very slowly to give you a chance to type in any comments. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, just waiting for the questions to come in. Nothing yet. So great. So the ethics side, we've covered the influence side. What about the ethics side? Now the ethics side is a bit more tricky because we are all ethical beings. And what I mean by that is you have a set of ethics that you live your life by. And everybody will have a different set of ethics they live their life by. And we believe we are right. And the way that you're ethical is to live by what you do is right. Now, that is a tricky statement because people around the world have different ethics. So let's see if I can challenge myself here, which is terrorist. Do people that call themselves terrorists, that we call terrorists, call themselves terrorists? No, they don't. And now, is what they do ethical? Not in my world, not just what's happened. And my heart goes out to Manchester and everybody there. Definitely not in my world. Intellectually, from a heart place, I'm heartbroken. But intellectually, they were doing what they thought was correct. It's difficult to say that. And as heavy as that is, it's important to remember everybody in their lives are working on what they know at that time. And going back in life to a situation that you wish you could undo, knowing what you knew, the energy level and the state and the information you had at the time, you will still do the same. People only do something different based on new information. So how do you broaden your worldview? I think there is several places. I think travel is wonderful. You meet people around the world. They all essentially want the same things from life. And also to study and learn and appreciate other cultures. So when we're exploring, I understand putting this information out. Somebody could potentially use this in what I see in an unethical way. I can only encourage you to do it in an ethical way. What I would love, are there any questions or comments around ethics? Because I realize we've just I had a lovely message from Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Saying, loving your approach to webinar, great energy. And I've just brought the energy right down. But I think it's an important topic. People are doing the best they can with what they know and where they're at any particular time. Which kind of indicates judging other people becomes really hard. Doesn't mean you agree with what they do, because your ethics are your ethics. But your thoughts around this area, I'd very much appreciate any questions or any comments or insights that you've had for yourself. Okay, I shall just give a couple of minutes to wait for those to come through. And please do engage. Great. Right, so there may or may not be any questions coming through. I might have just brought everything just way down too low there, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. The power of influence can never be undermined. So live with purpose. Go out and make a real difference. Now, in the upcoming webinars, we'll be exploring this in more depth. We'll be exploring language patterns, all leading up to the fourth webinar, which is all about how language shapes people's thinking. And I think in this session, we've already created a foundation, a strong foundation for wanting to influence. Oh, we've got a comment through, and Stephen seems to be really interaction today, so thank you about that. Presumably, we're always looking to achieve a win-win when using influence. And yes, so if you can enhance somebody's life, so we can put that into a context. So if somebody comes to you and asks you for help, they are asking you to do whatever you have at your disposal to help them in that situation. So it's different if somebody comes and asks you to talk. If they just want to chat, that is them processing information out. But if they come up and say to you, you know what, I'm struggling in life, I've lost my job and I'm not sure what to do, can you help me? Then they've asked for help. And I think it's ethical to do everything in your power to help that person. Sometimes that can be frustrating. And a deep understanding of the psychology that drives people really helps here. Okay, so let me give you an example of that, not the losing the job part. A few years ago, I had a student, Simon, wonderful guy, Simon Badger, absolutely dynamic on all levels, really took to the information. And one of his life goals was to run a life coaching business. And why not? It's a powerful, engaging process. So, and he talks about it. He read all the books. He's been to seminars. He's been that. And he kept saying to me, John, can you help me? I just can't get started. And I go, at this point, I probably know you a bit too well. And he says, well, please, I think you're the guy to help me. So I said, okay, then. And this is where the influencing comes in. He'd asked me for help. And I said, I'm going to give you one instruction and you're to follow it. But I need your word that you will follow and do everything I ask you to do. And he said, yeah, whatever it is. I'm not sure why he agreed. He didn't know what I was going to ask him. So I said, right, for the next 30 days, you're not allowed to read any books on coaching. You're not allowed to talk about coaching. You're not allowed to watch any videos on coaching at all or talk about setting up your coaching business. And if you do, those 30 days start again from scratch. You promise, you now need to follow through. And he said, well, no, I'm not sure I can. I said, well, you asked for my help. You said that you're a man of your word. You're going to have to follow through. And he went, okay, then. So within 3 days, he called me up and said, John, please let me talk about coaching. It's the passion of my life. And I find myself thinking about it, and I have to keep starting my 30 days. Please let me off the hook. I said, on one condition. Within 5 days, you got a website up. You have your cards printed, and you can show me the cards and the website, and you have your first paying client. Otherwise, you're going to have to do the 30 days. And he said, okay. And within 5 days, guess what? He'd had his website up. It was only a few pages, but it was still up. He'd show me his card, and he had his first paying client. Win-win situation there. Because one of the greatest joys in what I do for a living is helping people. So definitely a win-win situation there. Right, I think this will be a good time to summarize everything we've covered. And while I'm summarizing, any final questions, thoughts about the process, please do post them. And then we'll let you get back to your evening. Right. So we started off exploring the word influence. And we used a particular linguistic tool that I've been playing with to fully do a deep dive into the understanding of that word linguistically. Then we talked about one of the prime directors of your unconscious mind. The brain does not process negatives. And we talked about blue elephant up a pink tree for some reason. Then we talked about the brain fills in gaps. You can trigger whole stories in someone's mind by just 3 words. And we used the example, rabbit, car, road. And by then doing that, we noticed that a story was triggered inside the head. And I proposed this idea, which will form a foundation for all influencing that we'll be approaching in the next seminars, that you could change somebody's story, that we think in stories, and that mastering the art of storytelling is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever possess if you want to help or change somebody's life. And then we touched on ethics. No hard and fast rules. And I think what I might need to do is a deep dive into the word ethics as well, in the way that I did with the influence. And I will post the mind map. You forgot what they were called there. The mind map up there for anybody that would like it. And if you do want that, email me, because I intend to do that tomorrow, because we've got half term coming up next week. and all the kids will be back. So I'll get that all done tomorrow. If you'd like that mind map, just email me and I'll send that one to you about ethics as well. Then we talked about making sure this was win-win. And I gave you an example of Simon, who set up his own website, got his cards, and got a paying client. Right, it looks like we come to the end of this session. So thank you ever so much. I want to keep them short. I know the first couple of webinars I did was about an hour and a half long. Your life's busy. This is one of 4 webinars all around this vital information on influence. Sign up for the next one. Go to NLP courses/webinars and you'll be able to sign up for the next webinar, which will be next Thursday at 8 o'clock. And I look forward to serving you then. Go and make a difference in the world. Live with passion. Be a little bit outrageous and make a difference. Until then, bye. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, have a wonderful evening and we'll see you soon.